Ann Coulter debating Piers Morgan about weed is one of the most infuriating videos that I've seen all month.
Absolutely no evidence that cannabis is any worse
than
alcohol.
It
so why
is
it illegal and cannabis
I'm trying to answer, but as soon as I
answer,
answer, you're going to interrupt me and say, no, it's not,
no,
no,
it's not. Well, you keep saying that's untrue, but then explain why.
Well, I keep trying to when you keep interrupting. Now I'm going to explain now, so don't interrupt. Look, the sole purpose for smoking pot or eating a pot brownie is to get high. That is not true with alcohol.
Yes,
People
it is.
Enjoy, well, maybe you're a 14-year-old. They're going to keg parties still.
Everybody drinks alcohol to get slightly higher than when they start drinking it, surely. What's the point of drinking alcohol?
Absolutely. I have done TV after drinks. I bet you
have
too.
Are you intoxicated
I'm drunk
now?
right now.
Well, that would explain a lot of things. Have you ever smoked pot?
Wait, would you please let me finish one sentence, Piers Morgan?
You're rambling.
People enjoy wine. They drink wine for a purpose. They will buy $800 bottles of wine. Perhaps you have a warm feeling. It does not. You can tell if somebody's been smoking pot. Their eyes are red. They giggle at everything. And by the way, they're incapable of carrying on the normal functions.
Have you ever smoked pot?
No, I haven't.
Never in your life?
Almost none of my friends have because they're athletes.
So how do you know what it does?
Because I'm around potheads. Many of my best friends are potheads.
How many potheads are you around?
And in fact, a lot of them, well, look, potheads can still get their pot. They're probably self-medicating. But the more people who take it, and if it is made legal, vastly more people will take it. And it will be a disaster for commerce.
Why? Why for commerce?
Because potheads are incapable of following simple instructions and getting a job done. I used to carry around as my sole argument against pot legalization.
But it's like saying alcoholics
as I was saying,
have a drain on the economy.
To pick up in the middle of the sentence I was just on before you
interrupted me. What do you mean by pothead?
Was when I moved to a new place in California and there was a pool and the pool guy didn't, I come back and it's 4 feet down and it's covered with green mold and I called him up. He was a pothead. Oh, I was there that day. So I took 3 pictures and henceforth that was my argument. I don't happen to have my iPhone.
Let me try and stop the stream of consciousness.
You can't get anything done with a pothead. What we need to do is encourage people.
What do you mean by a pothead?
Everyone knows what a pothead is.
What does it mean?
It's not smoking pot one time.
So how much are you assuming a pothead takes?
Enough so that it can be made fun of on TV by Brad Pitt in this movie.
So like a heavy drinker or a heavy smoker?
No, heavy smokers work all night and then die young, saving the Social Security system money. For commercial purposes, for the purposes of the good of the country, we ought to encourage Americans to smoke like mad. They'd be incredibly productive, and then they'd die young and not have long, lingering deaths. Potheads, no, I'm going to be paying for their food, housing, now for their health care, apparently, because they can't perform any useful job. Can you imagine if,
the vast majority of people that take marijuana on a recreational basis are not, by your definition, potheads.
The point is,
in the same way that most people who drink alcohol are not alcoholics or heavy drinkers with a problem.
Once the cat is out of the bag, you can't put it back in. That was the problem.
Yeah, but the issue is not that.
Again, to pick up where I was in the middle of my sentence, but during Prohibition...
The issue is not that, is it?
The
issue is, why do we treat
every alcohol-related disease, cirrhosis of the liver, accidents as a result of alcohol, went down precipitously. It will go up. We will have this is how many potheads we have when it's illegal. I think that's just about enough.
Let me answer you. Nobody has ever overdosed on cannabis. Did you know that?
So what? They can't perform daily functions. They're going to be on my tax bill.
But you accept that people die of smoking. You accept that people can overdose on too much alcohol.
Well, but everybody dies eventually.
That's your answer.
No, but to say people die of smoking, what is considered a smoking death is any heart attack is considered a smoking death.
The point is that the argument is that alcohol...
That's a true fact, by the way.
That heavy consumption
someone
of
who has
alcohol...
never smoked will be considered a smoking
heavy
death.
Consumption of alcohol or heavy consumption of cigarettes is more dangerous to your health
No, it isn't. Alcohol is good for you. You take out the category... Have you been reading the Science Times? It's study after study. Alcohol is good for you. You should have a glass a day. Or two.
We'll have a glass after the show and we'll test your theory.
Or two. No, it's true. Alcohol is good for you. Pot is not good for you. And in fact, it is very cancerous. Now they're getting these young kids coming in having heart attacks at very young ages. And it's because they're potheads. And by the way, at least they'll save me money if they just go ahead and die. But they rarely just go ahead and die.
How humane of you.
She's so dumb. She's so dumb. I can't believe anybody hears her and goes, yeah, that's the one I'm with right there. As Bill Maher once said about Ann Coulter to her face on the first episode ever of Real Time, you just make shit up. You just make shit up. That's what you do. So let's actually go to the real evidence. There was a study published in the medical journal The Lancet ranking the 10 most dangerous substances to humans. The criteria was incredibly advanced, but to give you the cliff notes of it, they basically looked at the physical harm to the user, the addictive potential of the drug, and the drug's impact on society. So they determined the most dangerous drug to humans, heroin. Okay, because it really makes you feel warm and comfortable and lazy, and it slows down your heart rate so people can overdose fairly quickly, and it's painless and you just die. Okay, then they found cocaine was the second worst. And of course, that's a big time upper. It makes you feel invincible, makes you feel like some sort of god on earth, and it makes your heart beat fast. You can beat it into a heart attack from overdosing on cocaine. Barbiturates came in third. A lot of barbiturates are legal. You can get, they're pharmaceutical pills that are often prescribed. Street methadone is number 4. Alcohol is number 5. Alcohol is number 5. Ketamine is number 6. It's a cat tranquilizer. Apparently, they say it's a hallucinogen in this article, although I didn't know it was a hallucinogen. I thought it was just a cat tranquilizer. Benzodiazepines is another form of sedative drugs. That's the 7th most dangerous. Those also get prescribed all the time. I think like Xanax and Klonopin, those are benzodiazepines, anti-anxiety drugs. Amphetamines, so like Adderall, Ritalin, they're the 8th most dangerous. Tobacco is the 9th. I'm going to butcher this one. I never heard of this. Buprenorphine, also called subbies, whatever that means. That's the number 10 one. It's the only one I haven't heard of. And then didn't even make the fucking list. Didn't even make the list. Cannabis. You got cannabis, LSD, just to give you a couple, steroids, GHB, which is another one of the pills you can get over the counter that affect your GHB, your GABA, I think they're called, or gamma receptors, ecstasy. These are ones that didn't even make the list of the most dangerous drugs. So what she's saying is just flat out, factually incorrect. She is talking out of her anus. Now, also, to respond to a couple of her points, she said, well, weed is to get high. Alcohol is not just to do that. Right. Alcohol is not to get drunk. Control yourself, woman. You sound like a fool. She also says, it's okay because the potheads or people who smoke weed, they can't function on the drug. Ha! Yeah, here's the thing. Some people, sure. Just like some people can't, they drink alcohol from the second they wake up and they smell like booze all day and they can't function. Some people are alcoholics that literally controls their lives. Some people are gamblers that literally controls their lives. Doesn't mean you should fucking ban those things. Same thing with pot. Some people, yes, they can't function on it. Plenty of people can, man. Believe me, at the high school I went to, there were plenty of functioning potheads. In college, plenty of functioning potheads. In the real world, plenty of functioning potheads. Believe you me, I've seen them with my own eyes. She also says, well, it'll be a disaster for commerce. That may be the most untrue thing she's ever said. We actually have the evidence. You know, Colorado did legalize marijuana. You know what's happened there? A tremendous increase in commerce. You have revenue is going to be through the roof because you can actually tax the product, so it helps the government. It does stuff like it lowers the deficit, things I thought Republicans are in favor of. It also just makes it so that it's private wealth creation because it's capitalist, small businesses selling a whole new product. It's a whole new industry that opens up. I mean, and whatever happened to freedom? I thought Ann Coulter cared about freedom and the Constitution. I noticed she didn't mention the Constitution once in there. Because when it's inconvenient, she wants to ignore the Constitution. She wants to ignore freedom. And she wants to say, no, I want to restrict your freedom and tell you what substance you can and cannot put in your own body. And then finally she says, well, crime and problems, they went down with prohibition. You fucking idiot. The mafia basically got powerful because of prohibition. Because when you banned alcohol, you made it so that the black market had a monopoly on it.